Welcome back to Relax Radio with me, Nick. Hey, keeping you guys company all the way until 5 p.m. Yeah, that's right. We're trying to keep it real right here. 100% real, 100% relaxed right here. Because, hey, we're talking about all this stuff that is happening right now in the UK. And like I was talking about earlier today, we are talking about all the vaccines and, where they're being distributed, how they're being distributed, and who will be getting them. And a lot of these things that we were addressing as well is the four-way roadmap. What next? What is the plan? How many people are going to be, how many people are going to get the vaccine? That is one thing I was talking about. And the lockdown, lifting of the lockdown, the four-way roadmap that Boris Johnson has in store for us, he's planned for us, is actually happening right now. Well, this is just one of the things that we were talking about. And one of the biggest things that I was addressing as the show was going on was the vaccine passports and the issues, of how people might not be 100% on board to get the vaccine passport as of yet because of the issues, circulating. And, they're having just a lot of these issues, and a lot of people are hesitant and they don't have 100% faith in the vaccine as of yet, with what, like I said, with the issues going on and people, not quite happy, being told what to do, exactly being like, they're being told what to do because it's for their own good. But at the same time, people are not 100% on board because of, being told exactly what to do and not feeling like they're losing the opinion or the choice that they might be having with those. So yeah, the other thing, as I was saying, a lot of the government, the minister especially, says that passports showing a vaccine status would be time limited. So any COVID passport, all right? The scheme is to prove people in England are safe to attend these mass audience events and would be time limited. This is what the government is saying right now. So yeah, this COVID status certification scheme is basically, developed to enable concert sporting matches to take place. And yet all this, all of these big events where a lot of people are going to be gathering. It's very important to be safe. At the same time, you have to understand that this certification is indeed very important. It is super useful in my opinion, because with what is going on right now, we need these kind of certifications to show that, to feel safe, so that there's not reduce the transmission, especially when it comes to transmitting the virus. We want to limit it as much as possible. So this is one of the reasons why, this whole digital certification is important. This whole COVID passport is a very important thing that is going on right now. So yeah, this basically what this passport or app does is it will record whether a person has been vaccinated, whether they've recently tested negative or had natural immunity and already had because of the bout of the coronavirus. So this is just some of the ways, okay? This is just some of the things that will pop up in your COVID passport. Yeah, so that's right. That is, just some of the things that will happen, when you take the passport. This is some of the things that it will show. So when people take you inside, especially when it comes to these mass audience events, or when it comes to a bar or a pub or, a mall, even having these certifications in a way is also, it might sound inconvenient, but at the same time, it's safe. It's all to do with safety and the precautions. So it's all because of that. We're trying to reduce the transmission of the virus. So yeah, the government is also trialing other ways of holding mass events safely. So yeah, Sports Minister Nigel Huddleston said the trials would be a learning experience and no decision has been made about progress, process, or vaccine certification. So yeah, improved ventilation and testing before and after events are among the other approaches being tested for mass gatherings. And all these indoor events, including sport matches and a nightclub. So this is all the reasons, why the whole plan to get this digital certification is so that we can open things up again as things, go by and as everything is going on. We need it. There's going to be a lot of interaction, social interaction, especially when it comes to between individuals. So all the more reason why you would need a vaccination certification. But at the same time, the youngsters, especially, they're totally against it. Is one, they're being barred from their favorite pub. Who would like that? This is the only place where they can socialize. You got to understand the UK is the place in the world which has more pubs in their country than around the world. So to be barred from a pub is just a terrible thing that is happening. So yeah, I mean, as time goes by, hopefully, the plan is to get everyone, like I said, vaccinated and all of this jazz happening. Let's see how it goes, though, as time moves on. But yeah, the pilot events, which include the FA Cup and the World Snooker Championship, cinema screenings, and nightclub events will take place up until mid-May. So the NHS is said to be working on a system to allow people to demonstrate their COVID vaccination status through an app or a paper certification. So yeah, for those people who've not been vaccinated, well, it could record any recent negative tests or whether they've been tested positive in the last 6 months and are likely to have natural immunity. So this is for something for the people who have not yet been vaccinated. So the FA Cup final will require certification, but some of the venues stressed, that they would not be involved in trialing the so-called COVID passport proposed by the government. So a lot of people are not 100% on board with this. They're not quite sure whether if they want to even have this COVID passport, and a bunch of these venues and events also are not quite 100% on board as well to ask the people who are visiting or coming to these events to even get these certifications, because they're also not 100% sure as of yet. So yeah, Paul Blair, the co-owner of the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool, said they're due to host the very first event, and said the club faced the worst negative press because we've ever had when it wrongly reported certification would be used at the event. So yeah, like I said, not 100%, not a lot of people are going to be totally on board with this, especially when it comes to being forced to take vaccinations, when clearly it's going against a lot of people. They're saying it's going against their rights as individuals, as people of the UK, as a land of freedom. That is one of the things that they are actually addressing, and they are not quite happy with it. So there's been a lot of backlash, like I said, when it comes to these COVID passports and being forced. People are being forced into this, like as I spoke about these things, I was talking about how these COVID, it's all right if you want to travel abroad to a foreign country, you want to go somewhere, Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, France, it doesn't really matter. But when it's in the UK and when it's for the local, when it comes to a local thing, when it comes to the local, the local areas that we have to visit, and when we're required to do this, it sounds like it's going to be counterproductive. That's what's the issue. And a lot of people are not going to be happy about it, because now in the beginning, the government asked us to get these vaccine passports, the COVID passports. And what if it turns out to be a health passport? That is some of the issues that people are going to be addressed. And what if these health passports will affect our ability, to secure a job in the job market? And especially with the market going on right now, it's not a great place, especially to be looking for jobs. So that's just another thing that a lot of people, a lot of the youth especially, are not quite 100% on board with this COVID passport as well, like I was talking. So yeah, although though there's been 31.5 million people who have received their first dose of the COVID vaccine, and nearly 5.4 million have received both jabs. But most people vaccinated so far are over the age of 50. So yeah, those are the people, like I mentioned earlier, about of the people who are going to be getting these vaccines will be over the age of 50. So yeah, the government also said it will be working with clinical and ethical experts on exemptions for people whom vaccination is not advised, and repeat testing would be difficult. So in case you were wondering who are these people that who are going to get exempted, mostly it's got to do with people who are pregnant or people who have medical issues. So yeah, the businesses in England can reopen again in the coming weeks, including pubs, restaurants, and non-essential retail will not have to use the system for now. But sources say requiring a certificate to access hospitality further down the line, perhaps to reduce the need for social distancing, has not been ruled out. So this is something that, they're not 100% sure that it's going to be ruled out as of yet. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the government was doing everything it could to ensure people could return to events and travel as safely as possible. And yeah, Boris Johnson is doing his best so far and making sure, that everyone abides. I mean, everyone should be abiding to the rules and regulations implemented by the government, especially in a time like now where we need to practice these things the most. This is the most crucial time, the most vital time where we should actually be following the government and making sure, we follow those safety precautions when it comes to wearing your masks, making sure to keep that social distancing, 2 meter social distancing. Make sure you always sanitize, and when you cough in between your arm and your bicep. That's the kind of things we should be doing when you don't want to transmit. You don't want to, especially when it comes to transmission, you don't want to be spreading the virus to other people and to the people around your vicinity. So this is just something that Boris Johnson has addressed, and he wants people to get back to normal. He wants the country to fall back to normalcy. So that's just something that the minister wants right now. And the cabinet office minister, Michael Gove, who's leading a review into the use of COVID passports, has called certification for international travel an inevitability. So yeah, that's something that's inevitable. And it could also be valuable aid in reopening parts of the domestic economy faster. So that is what Michael Gove is saying right now. And the critics, though, are not also happy with this. And more than 40 Tory MPs and privacy campaigners have suggested a COVID passport scheme could be discriminatory and counterproductive. Like I said, when it comes down to it, they're trying to address the other issue of there's the pros are great as well, but there's the cons. What if, these government facilities or employers will start asking about these certifications, and if we don't provide them with these certifications, we might not be able to get the job or secure the job. So that's something that is, bring up a lot of concern, especially when it comes to people, who are applying for jobs, or the youth as well. And they're not quite 100% happy about this. So former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, who now sits as an independent, and senior Tory Lane Duncan Smith are among a board of coalition of MPs who have pledged their opposition. So those are just a couple of the names of the people who I mentioned right now who are not quite happy with this, this whole COVID passport. And like I said, there's not a lot of people who are going to be 100% on board with it right now. I mean, imagine, we've been in total lockdown. We've been in lockdown for more than a year, actually. So March 23rd was when everything started. The lockdown started March 23rd, 2020. And now, it's April the 5th. So 2021. So it's just crazy. People are not going to be happy, especially if they're going to be barred and they need these vaccinations. And then they have to show a digital certification to enter these pubs, their favorite pubs. And it's going to cause a hassle, actually, when it comes to a lot of people. And the other thing is the government also wants to release these travel bans and make sure people travel internationally again. And that is just something that cannot happen as of yet, because there is issues of, the possible importation of the COVID-19 variants. So that is something that they're also very, very concerned about. And that is just another reason why the people are not quite 100%, on board with this. And speaking of all these things, a lot of these countries also, like countries from other places, like Boris Johnson wants to implement this light system that he wants to do. So the traffic light system that he wants to implement, so that people, can identify which countries are the safest to go. And those are the countries that will be identified as a green lit country. So it's because of this. A lot of these people say that, hey, a lot of the government, especially, they say like, hey, get your vaccination and make sure you guys can travel abroad. But then at the same time, there is the counter argument that people say, hey, there's the other issue that if you travel, you might still contract the disease. And that's something that we want to avoid also as well, especially with what is going on these days. I mean, hopefully, things get back to normal. Hopefully everything falls back in line as it's supposed to fall back. And let's hope for the best, as time goes on. But with that being said, it is about that time of the day for me to head on out of here and make way for my buddy Tim, who'll be keeping you company on the buzz. But don't worry, I'll be there tomorrow, same time, same place, same frequency on Real Talk. So make sure you guys check me out tomorrow. And with that, catch you again, and take care. Peace and much love.